Hey, this week we are talking about biogeometry with the amazing Claudia, and we are talking about how to make a home a home. It's an
Thank you,
interesting topic.
Eloise. A very interesting topic.
So, we always talk about the home being where the heart is, and these days with all the stress that we have in life, I think people don't always feel at home in their home. Does that make sense? And
Yes.
I, with biogeometry, we'll get into why it's interesting to talk about this, obviously. But when people come visit my home, I often get the comments from them. They're like, "Wow, I feel so relaxed here," or "I've had the best sleep ever," or and I'm like, "Well, I know."
You know why? Yes. Yes.
So, should we start
Okay.
off talking about biogeometry a little bit, just to give some people some information if they don't know about it?
I think it's the best, So obviously, you can tackle and address biogeometry and the idea and the definition of biogeometry from quite a few angles. But if we stick to the basics, we can say bio is life, geo is the earth, and metry is to measure. So, in short, we would say with biogeometry, learn to tap into, measure, enhance, and obviously connect throughout a longer stretch and period of time with the life force energy that is present, not just in our Earth, but actually in the whole universe. And I think based on the observation that I have, in my everyday clinic life as well, apart from human being life, that people are very much depleted, A, from their connection to their own heart, B, depleted from the life force energy and experiencing lack of self-healing, self-regulation. But apart from that, a lot of times tiredness, exhaustion, and dealing with the famous stress or distress factors of many sources on origin. So it's very, very important for my long-term experience as a practitioner and instructor that we find ways and means of, as an individual, okay, find ways and means of tapping into that life force energy within ourselves, but specifically also within our environment. So like this, we will not feel as lonely, depleted, and maybe even alien in our own home. Yeah, so
Mm.
so for me, that's one aspect of seeing biogeometry. And within the different levels of training, we are obviously addressing, as instructors, addressing what students can learn and take home. And one of the main things is to understand the presence of what we call the BG3 energy quality, the biogeometry 3 quality, which we can come back to and define even further. But it's basically an energy quality that's present in all sacred spaces, and should be present also within our own system.
Mm.
And so the idea, obviously, is when you have a home that is really a home, and this is also connecting to your heart and heart energy, then we also have that specific divine and sacred energy present. And it has nothing to do with religion as such. It's more related to our true nature as a human being, as a spiritual being, living on this planet. And there's no magic involved. It's literally pure science applied to an everyday environment.
Mm. I love that.
So
It's
yeah.
We talk about dis-ease a lot, and it's that lack of ease, that relaxation, and the the qualities that we can bring into a home and other things. It's outside of that
Hmm.
as well. With
Yeah.
biogeometry, really does bring that sense of ease, and I think that's probably what people feel when they come into a biogeometry home.
Exactly. And that's my experience and observation as well. So obviously, we seem to be mixing and mingling a house, a home, and then me as a person. But the only way uh, that I know of, you can really experience the effects of the application, let's call it the application or the presence connection with biogeometry, is how my system responds and reacts. So you were
Mm.
mentioning, obviously, the disease factor in everyday life for most people. And so we have to maybe highlight also the fact that we have different aspects of our nervous system which are responsible of our autonomous nervous system that are responsible for regulating our well-being on a day-to-day basis. And I feel that most people are too much in a sympathetic overdrive rather than their parasympathetic nervous system being able to go into rest and digest mode. And a lot of people have heard about the vagus nerve recently. So that's a very important factor. And the vagus nerve, it's a Latin term, but nevertheless, it's also in English called the wanderer. So it's a nerve, very important nerve connected to the parasympathetic nervous system. And it's basically all over the body and very much in charge of helping our bodies to rest and digest and not so much being or continuously being in fight and flight mode, especially at night, obviously. So for me, if I have the possibility of harmonizing a home or my home, which obviously students of biogeometry are able to do, immediately and should be doing immediately after a course, um, then we're focusing a lot on the sleep area of sleep. Because if you spend, no matter how long you sleep, but if you spend like 5 to 8 hours in one spot, we want to make sure that that spot is definitely supportive to your energy system, to your nurturing and regeneration qualities and abilities. So that's part
Mm.
of the, let's call it, good deal when you're working with biogeometry, that this is a big aim. We want to look at the whole house, but the sleeping area is there.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're gonna spend hours in this one little spot.
hmm Yeah,
What a
and then you
weird
focus on
thing.
the other little spots where you
Yeah,
spend
and
many
then
hours.
yeah, that one spot on the sofa where you sit every night, and that one.
Exactly. And that's how you work your way through the whole house.
That's really fun.
Yeah,
Because
so I mean, obviously,
yeah,
logic kicks in as well. So we have so many environmental factors these days. There were always environmental influences. This is how in the ancient times people were observing nature, what's happening outside, what's happening within the animal kingdom, what's happening in the plant kingdom, and what's happening in us as human beings. Where should we settle? Where should we not
hmm
settle? How should we build our buildings? What shape should the buildings have? What material do we use? And so forth. So today, obviously, we don't have so much choice anymore, unfortunately. And we have a lot of choice when it comes to materials, but they're not
yeah,
always beneficial to the human being. And so dealing with all these influences on a day-to-day basis, even in the air we breathe, the food we eat, the water we drink, and the people we engage with. So it's all, influences. So it's good to have a quiet spot, and this is not by geometry, but obviously I would emphasize that preferably in the bedroom we have least amount of electricity available, the least interference as in materials, more natural materials, the bed itself, but specifically the mattress. And then there's layers and layers to this, not just the mattress, even how you cover yourself, what kind of sheets you use. So this is an added layer to biogeometry when we are harmonizing the space, but obviously that is going into resonance with whatever we do and whoever we are. Mm.
yeah.
Yes.
So when people come to the foundation class,
Mm-hmm.
one of the bits of equipment that is included in the class is the home balancing kit.
Yes.
And it used to only be available to people that had taken the class, but now anyone can buy it, which is kind of great, but also they don't get the full advantage of it. So,
Mhm. Yes.
can we talk about that?
So, sure, for sure. So I have to say, sometimes I say, why on earth do we have the home kit now? So the home kit, is based on the observation that people um, uh, in a small community in Switzerland, and some people who dive into biogeometry have heard about this project in Hamburg, Hemberg.
Yeah. I'll
Got
put a
very
link to it below as
okay,
well.
great, thank you. Got very ill after a mobile phone repeater was installed in the church tower, and that was communicating obviously with all sorts of things within the village, but also with the surrounding mountainous areas. And then biogeometry, I mean, Dr. Karim, the founder of biogeometry and developer of biogeometry, who is an architect, we always have to remember that. He's not a practitioner of any kind of healthcare modality. Biogeometry is not a healthcare modality. This is very important, but we can see great effects, benefits really in the natural self-care and healing world. I spoke about the nervous system, but we also spoke about the aspects of stress and distress and eustress and so forth. Anyway, he was asked to fulfill the project, and the interesting part is, to this date, people are still. This is 20 years old. This project still in good balance and harmony, and no longer experiencing the distress factors. And the mobile antenna seems to be still present in the church tower. So the idea was to have a bigger project come out of this, but for whatever reason, it never happened. But a lot of people heard about it and they said, we want this for our own home. So the HomeKit is very much of benefit to deal with the day-to-day electromagnetic stress factors, basically. A lot of people react and respond to that in not such a nice way. I would sometimes say it's like an allergic reactions to something you don't even know what it is. And so the idea of the HomeKit, especially when you install it specifically, is obviously to test the befores and afters of the home environment in relation to what we call your personal wavelength, or any other living being. But it's practical to work with yourself or any other family member if it's easier for you to use it that way. And then we would say, okay, before, when I was in this location and I didn't use any of the HomeKit, my body was in severe distress. And we talked about the lack of energy, energy being like, I wouldn't say sucked out of my system, but basically not supportive. And then you can check the different areas before and after, specifically the bed, the working area, the reading area, and so forth. And also, very importantly, the water you drink or wash yourself with, or your food, and the electricity. So ultimately, it's good to have the before and after measurements, which we do all the time when we're installing the HomeKit. But the beautiful thing is it's a very holistic approach. So in my interpretation, there is a specific sequence, and at the same time, there's not a specific sequence of installing the HomeKit. It depends on your time frame, But we're looking into the idea of energy keys. Energy is flowing all the time. And energy is basically something is in motion. So we have waves and frequencies and vibration. And so the moment there's some motion, for example, your water flowing through your pipes in your house, and you're opening a tap and the water is coming out, that's energy in motion. That's an energy key that is produced. And the idea is that that energy key is harmonized. And harmonized means it's connected to this specific energy quality that we, or I mentioned at the beginning of our talk here. And but if I have the idea already that you have water pipes either in your floor or in your walls, depending how big your dwelling is, then you can understand that in those areas along the walls, and you could test that. You also have, no matter whether the water is flowing or stagnant in that moment, because no one is using water, you have the BG3 energy present. Now, for self-healing, in water, we are a human being, yes, but we're also kind of a water being. So if you look into the percentage of water that is present in our body, the physical water, but also the emotional, mental, and spiritual qualities of water, that is just amazing. So just saying, it depends on whom you speak to and what aspects of water you look at. But just thinking about that, I have 60 to 90% of water or as in molecules, apparently up to 98% of water molecules, my body is made up of that. It's a high percentage. So if I can be surrounded by water that is in that resonance of the self-healing and divine energy qualities, but then also consume that water or wash myself with that water, there's a great chance that my cells, my detox system, and everything would be quite well regulated. Okay. Um, so that's the positive side effect when we are addressing or using the HomeKit in our home. But more so, most people would look into the electricity component. Mhm. So we would specifically use the different um, um, tools, that you get with the HomeKit to apply them throughout the house using the electric panel and harmonizing it with what we call number qualities, or addressing the router in the home, which is kind of an energy hub. So we have two energy keys present here. One is the physical pipelines of electrical wires. And that's the fun part. For a lot of people, electricity means stress, distress. When we talk distress in biogeometry language, it is what we call or refer to, not we didn't create the term, but as vertical qualities. So when something has a vertical quality, as a wave quality, it is distressful for our system. Human beings naturally tend to be more attracted to the horizontal qualities. Okay, so that's what we are trying to um, how to say that, embrace more without doing anything specifically. Yeah, so that we're avoiding what is stressful for our system and are being more trending towards what is not so stressful for our system, as a side effect, positive side effect, um, when you apply biogeometry in your house and home environment. And so when you're actually applying the biogeometry solutions on your electric panel, you would, don't put your finger in the plug, but nevertheless, you could test your electrical outlets for BG3 energy quality. So that's the fun part. It's just amazing. It's instantaneous, that level of resonance within that divine energy quality. But obviously, today we have also the non physical information exchange. And that is kind of represented by the router or router. Currently, I am refurbishing a flat or an apartment, and actually, just a few days ago, we had the guy who brings the internet to the home and the television and the phone, passing a wire. So I know it's coming through that specific wire. And that's where the router is connected, and then everything else follows out from there. So this is the hub of different kind of energy and information exchange, and there is a lot of research that has been done of the side effects, negative side effects of unharmonized Wi-Fi signals, basically. So people who have been very electrosensitive, I mean, I've had quite a few patients in my clinic over those last few years. They basically try to either not use Wi-Fi at all, which is very challenging these days with mobile technology. When you're out and about in the world, you want to travel on an airplane. Recently I traveled and I said, "Where's my boarding pass?" And I forgot to print it, I thought, so I went back on the website and I realized I can't print it anymore. I need to use my phone to show my boarding pass, so it's like we're more and more forced into using mobile technology, and that mobile technology in the sense it's like a vicious cycle for a lot of people. So we really, really want to make sure, not just at home, but even when we're leaving the home, that we are not creating more stress factors than we're already creating in our body by the add-on solutions that we work with in biogeometry. So yes, harmonizing the router is a very, very important part. And you would check, we can again use number qualities or those so-called L shapes that are part of the home kit. And but you would test specifically which number quality, which L shape, where to place it on the router, and so forth. So that is what you benefit from, when you're learning the specific application. But obviously, last but not least, we have the cube. That's the famous
Yay!
part of the home kit. The cube is a tiny object, but it has a very powerful, basically, effect in a good way. And I just met one of my recent students. It's quite interesting. She was in the area here where I am right now, and she visited me, and she said, "I'm staying in a hotel, and I got my cube with me, and I placed it, and it's so amazing." And she is staying in the room with a friend of hers, and who doesn't know about biogeometry. And the friend was saying, like, "Wow, my whole body is tingling and clearing and cleansing, and I don't feel stressed in this hotel environment anymore." So this is the power of
Nice,
the
yeah.
cube. Obviously, at home, you would try to reduce, let's call it, environmental toxins. But nevertheless, in a hotel, there's so much going on. So you can see very much so, the relevance of the cube
Mm.
and the power of the cube when you are sensitive to the
Mm.
energy
Hmm.
qualities. And if you're not sensitive to energy qualities, obviously you just have to trust that this thing works.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
and
really
there has been
does. Yeah,
research
yeah.
also, that was done with the cube before and after, checking the water quality. And so, yes, but we're talking quality, not quantity. That's the
Yeah.
big difference in biogeometry.
Mm. And I love the cube because you can take it with you when you leave. It
Exactly.
goes everywhere
Mhm.
with me.
Yeah.
But yeah, but
So
the
sometimes it's also practical to have the cube obviously in your car. So we have other
yeah, yeah,
things
yeah,
that you can harmonize your car environment with, or your mobile phone environment. But
yeah.
if you're staying in a fixed
Hmm.
location, even just for a short while, the cube is very, very helpful.
Hmm.
Yes.
Yeah,
So it's a
it's
good
great.
tool and
Yeah,
toy to
yeah.
have.
And that's the thing. If you go and buy the kit, it comes with some instructions of what to do with it. But I think once you've taken the class, there
Yeah,
are
it opens
so
up a
many layers of what you can do with it,
completely
and
new
then carry
scenario.
on from there as well to balance
Mm-hmm.
your home. It's
Mm-hmm.
incredible.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
And the small things that seem like nothing just make such a difference when you can actually not only feel it, but you can actually measure it as well.
Measuring. That's the important part. That's our key answer to quite a lot of questions in biogeometry is like, yes, you have to test it. You have to measure the before and after. We can tell you a lot
Mm,
of things, but you have to test it for yourself. It's not
mm,
a one size fits all solution. Okay, we have
mm.
our experiences, and that's why you get like some handouts. You get a lot of handouts, but some handouts with some suggestions of solutions. But then to confirm that this is really what you need in that moment, that is then up to you. And that's why we're testing.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and all these things that are part of the home kit, I may not have the proper ones here, are
Mm.
really like very inconspicuous. They're transparent.
Yeah.
I see, I grabbed the E one, so
Oh yeah.
that's for electricity.
Electricity.
But
Amazing.
yeah, so yeah, and you just place it, and this is all based on long, 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 long years of scientific research, based
Yeah.
on the physics of quality. And for me, it's very strongly related to quantum physics and yeah, basically
Hmm.
modern physics. Yeah.
Mm.
But the
So yeah.
scientific research that was done with conventional scientific methodology, so that's important as well. So it's very grounded, the approach of biogeometry.
Mm.
Yep, that's what you get when you
Yeah.
attend the class, and
Wow. And a lot more.
many
But
more
yeah.
things.
Yeah, it's a whole 6 days of
Yes.
understanding and
And
exploring.
it's a good mix of practice, theory, and some sharing of stories, obviously, between the participants, because you get homework every evening to
Yeah.
try it out in your
In
little
your
dwelling where you
hotel or
stay
your
for the
home
course.
or yeah.
hmm Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
it's
was
it's really nice
yeah. It is
and
great.
very important in this day and age. We started
Yeah,
with
it's
that at
so
the beginning
needed.
of our talk.
Yeah. I think
Yes.
there's so much talk online about all the hidden and secret stuff that's out there. And I'm like, it's here in plain sight a lot of the time. You just
Yes,
need
it
to
is. It
find
is.
it. Yeah.
It's unbelievable. And obviously we spoke about how buildings were built in the let's call it the old days, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But nevertheless, if you look around, there's so much presence still to this date. Yeah, how the original cities were created, where certain buildings or certain structures were erected, and
Mm,
also how the individual buildings were created. Now we have just square boxes, and that is definitely not beneficial to our health. Maybe even on a location that is not even beneficial to our health. So what can we do? And this is
mm,
why biogeometry is a very, very practical solution, very necessary solution. Okay, so we cannot promise any healing stuff and whatever, because that's not what it is about. It's feeling, how did you say at the beginning? Feeling at home in your home.
feeling at home in your home.
Uh-huh. Yeah, but the other part of the saying, home is where your heart is for me, it's one of the most important aspects of being in the field of applied biogeometry, because you really feel like more your heart energy present, which is
Mm,
obviously representative of love, harmony, peace, and just being content and appreciative of what life has to offer and has offered you, and the gifts and the synchronicities and all of that. Yeah,
mm.
it's a process for sure, you know, but it always starts with the first step.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's such a exciting. I don't want to call it a field of study. It's like, but the depth and the simplicity of everything in biogeometry always fascinates me. It's like,
Hmm. Yes.
and seeing those light
Absolutely.
bulbs going off in the students as they suddenly go, oh,
Hmm. Yeah, and it doesn't really matter what your background is when you dive into
mm,
biogeometry, because we have a lot of people who come from certain types of
mm,
professions, yeah, and they want to obviously apply biogeometry in their professional field. But I always say it starts with your own house and home first, and then you see how you transfer the experience and the ideas into your professional field.
mhm.
So it's the design language of nature. So that says also a lot.
Yeah.
Bringing nature back into everything we do, you know, so
Mm. Yeah, and
keeping
that
that in mind.
that connection with what's natural is
Hmm.
is so we're so dis separated from it with these little black boxes and stuff now.
Yes, and
It's
it
it's a
starts also with
gift.
this,
Yeah.
which is another factor, the natural aspect, you know, being in tune with the nature, the rhythms of nature.
Mm.
So it's day and night rhythms. Okay, sometimes
Mm.
you cannot because this is part of your work. You have to work at night and you work at night. But as a general thing, also is what do I eat? How much do I eat? What does my body really need and not need?
Mm.
And all these on-off situations in everyday life, rhythm, right? The sympathetic, parasympathetic, fight, flight, rest, digest modes, and we often have forgotten that connection. You know, so bringing that back into our lives, I think, is a very important aspect.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, well, we have a foundation class coming up in the UK in July 2026. So if you want to come and join us for 6 days of amazingness, I don't know, is that a word? I mean, the foundation class, I always think you can go and do anything with the foundation class because you could keep going forever. Obviously, there are advanced classes, and if you want to be a practitioner, you can do more stuff. But everything you need is in that 6 days. It's beautiful.
Yes. Yes. Definitely. And yeah, it's an exciting journey, really.
Yeah.
It's part of your personal self development and discovery. And yeah, you never know what comes out of it for you once you dive into biogeometry.
Mm. Whole new world. You might feel at home at home.
Exactly.
Oh, thank you,
Good.
Claudia. It's been really fun
Thank you,
to
Louise.
talk
My
as
pleasure.
always. Looking forward to seeing you in July. Yay!
Thank you.